Okay. Thank you. Well, it was about December 2020, when, of course, the world was all suffering from COVID. And it was very hard to make international films in Thailand because nobody could fly anywhere. And I had a good friend by the name of Somtao, who is in Thailand a very famous classical music composer and conductor. And he runs an orchestra, a youth orchestra, called the Siam Sinfonietta. And we were just, we got together and we were just both depressed because I had no work and his orchestra had not been able to play or rehearse or meet for 9 months. And so he said, I don't know what to do because all these young musicians, they have no chance to practice their music. And I said, well, you know what? The funny thing is that in Thailand you were still allowed to make films. So I said, if we could make a film, then your orchestra could be in the film and they could play music and rehearse as part of a film. He said, well, what could we make a film about? So I immediately just came up with this mad idea. I said, how about this sort of mad classical music composer who in the time of COVID basically like kidnaps all these young musicians and forms his own crazy orchestra. And he said, yeah, that's a good idea. I said, only one rule, if we make this, you must play the mad composer. So I never, sometimes, you know, when you've had a few beers, you have these mad ideas and you think it'll never happen. And then about 10 days later, he said, okay, I've raised a little bit of money, let's make the film. And so we found ourselves making this mad film. And it was great fun because it was really, it was a lot of fun. We were able to make a film without all the pressures of having investors and producers, and so we could just make a sort of, you know, a fun film the way we wanted to. So that was how the whole thing came about. It's just some drunken conversation that ended up becoming real. Well, when I was let me think, when I was about 33, somewhere around then, I had a girlfriend in England, and we were all set to go off to America for a holiday for the Millennium New Year. And then in about November, she dumped me. And I had a call from a friend of mine who was working at the BBC saying, will you come to Thailand and help me to shoot a bit of a documentary for the BBC about elephants? So I was there heartbroken and miserable and said, yes, get me the hell out of here, take me to Thailand. And so we had a great time, and the beautiful scenery and a great crew, and it was just a wonderful time. And right then I thought, wow, this is a great place to make films. And so I decided really then and there, I wanted to be the first sort of Westerner, if you like, to direct a Thai language film. So I had to learn to speak Thai, I had to research the story and write a script. And so in around 2004-05, I made a film called P, and did it, and basically I've been there ever since. Well, when I was young, from about the age of, I was about 8 or 9, and I always loved films, loved watching films. And I saw an advert in the newspapers wanting to find new actors. And so I didn't tell my parents. I wrote off and said, I want to be an actor. And amazingly, this agent responded and said, I would like to, represent you. And so then I had to tell my parents, and my parents thought I was crazy, as they still do. And so then, for I suppose about 8 or 9 years, I did a lot of work as an actor in England. So I was in a film called The Wild Geese. And it was funny, a gentleman at the festival just reminded me, he had a copy of the video of a mini-series called Der Schwarze Boomerang, which he still remembered, which was amazing. That was when I was about 15, we made that. And that went on until I was about 18, and I'd always loved being on a film set and seeing how films were put together. And that was when I thought, what I'd really like to do is go behind the camera. And so that's what I've been trying to do ever since. I do love working in Thailand. I mean, I've made it my home. And I think at the time that I left England, I was rather lacking in inspiration. The film industry really was an industry, and it was ruled by sort of money and box office, and it seemed to have lost some of its, for me, its spark, its excitement. And going to Thailand, I rediscovered that, and I still feel that. I still love the spirit of filmmaking that is in Asia, and for me particularly in Thailand. So I'm certainly going to stay there. I certainly hope to make more films. I mean, you never stop learning. I'm now 54, but I'm just starting. I still think I have so much to learn about how to make films. There's still so many films I want to make, if I don't die first.
Great, thank you.
TECKploitation, because das braucht.